Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2018 Jeep Cherokee, we're going to be showing you how to install the Blue Ox Patriot supplemental braking system. Before we get into that though, let's take a minute, we'll check this out and make sure it's going to be the right setup for you. Before we jump right in, I figured I'd just touch base on one of the main questions that we get asked in regards to setting up your Cherokee to get flat towed, and that's what parts am I going to need? So there's a total of 5 main components. You'll have your base plate, your tow bar, your safety cables, your tow bar wiring, your supplemental braking system, and there's one other thing that I like to recommend for the Cherokee, which is a towed vehicle charge line kit. That way your battery stays charged whenever you're flat towing. When it comes to picking out a supplemental braking system, there's quite a few of them out there, and this one's going to be more of a portable type, meaning you don't have to install hardly any components more or less permanently on your vehicle. So you can take this in and out. The setup's real easy with it when you are ready to flat tow, easy to get out of the way when you're all done. And there's more permanent type systems too, right? All the parts will kind of physically stay with the vehicle all the time. So with the Patriot, it's definitely my favorite portable type. It's super lightweight, really small. It's a great fit for the Cherokee. You know, we have a nice flat, large floorboard here. The seat goes up far enough and everything. So the Patriot's a really good fit for the Cherokee. With that said though, this will kind of work in just about any scenario, really, for the most part. You know, if your motorhome has air brakes, it'll work, be compatible with that. If your motorhome has your standard hydraulic brakes, it's compatible with that. And one of the nice things too, the fact that you can move this out of the way if you ever happen to get another vehicle that you want to flat tow. You know, this braking system can work with it. Or if you end up trading your vehicle in, getting into something new, you know, you can keep this, carry it over to that vehicle, or even upgrading your motorhome, changing that up. It's compatible across the board there. This is going to be a proportional type braking system, meaning it's going to more or less match the braking pressure of that in the motorhome, right? So however hard you hit the brake in here, braking system's going to act in a similar way. And that just makes for a more predictable and cohesive stop. You know, if you're halfway on the brake, the Patriot will respond similar. If you're standing on the brake pedal, an emergency stop, something like that, Patriot will kind of do the same thing. So it makes it a little bit easier to tow around and kind of get a feel for things, if that makes sense. It also has a monitor here. So this is going to kind of tell you what's going on with the braking system. You know, if you were driving down the road and hitting the brake, it would tell you kind of how hard the brake pedal's getting pushed and things like that. And you can make some adjustments too. You can change the force if you need a little extra help. Maybe if you're going up into the hills or something, you know, you give it a little more juice. And there's a lot of other settings too. We ain't gonna run through them all, but you can change a few things up. You can use the manual override too, which it just says brake here. If you hit that, that'll apply just the brake in your Jeep. So in the event of a sway situation, something along those lines, you can do that, kind of slow the Jeep down and get it straightened back out. The braking system is going to come with what's called a breakaway switch, which gets mounted to the front of your Jeep, and a little tether connects to it and runs to the safety chains on your motorhome's hitch. And this is just a safety device, really. In the event of an unlikely disconnect, this pin would get pulled out and apply the brakes in the Jeep, helping to get things back under control. And it kind of brings us to my next point too. You can actually pick up what's called the second vehicle kit. So kind of like we talked about earlier, if you happen to get another vehicle that you want to flat tow, or you know, even let's say if you trade this in and don't bother to take this component off, you can always get that second vehicle kit, set up the other vehicle, and that's really all you're going to need to be able to transfer the Patriot, the main unit, from vehicle to vehicle. Other than that, a really nice braking system. You know, they're easy to use and set up and figure out, so you can't really ask for too much more. As far as the installation goes, really straightforward for a braking system, to be honest. More or less, you just have to set up your breakaway switch, run one wire that comes off of this inside of the vehicle. That's probably the hardest part. And then from there, it's just kind of setting the unit in place and making some minor adjustments to get it to fit as best as you can. So really shouldn't give you a ton of problems or take up a bunch of your time. With that in mind though, if you're gonna be doing other flat towing components at the same time and just don't really feel like messing with it all or whatever the case may be, I definitely understand. You can always use our dealer locator network. That can help you find a shop in your neighborhood that can do something like this for you. But if you're gonna do it yourself, hang around, we'll go ahead and get started on it now. To begin our installation, we're gonna be here at the front of our Jeep, and we need to focus on getting the breakaway switch mounted up and the wiring ran. Now in our case, we have the fascia removed, just so we can see a lot better, and doing it at the same time we're doing the base plate, it's easier to route everything, but it can be done with it all put back together. Just be a little more tricky to get the wires in place. So I'm not gonna mount this up just yet. We have ours set up. I think we'll have the fascia back on. That way we can mount up our bracket and actually get this secured and not have to make a huge hole in our fascia potentially. So I'll set this off to the side, but at least we can have the wires ready. So this is it here. And if you're routing other stuff too, that needs to come to the front, like a charge line or tow bar wiring, great time to do it all at once. But it's all loosely routed. Just have it coming up through here, kind of through this little pocket where it'll come up into the engine compartment. So that wire comes up through here along the side of our fuse compartment. And then on the firewall, there's a factory grommet that you can cut the little end of it off and take the wire for our breakaway switch and pass it through there into the inside of our vehicle, where it'll come out on the driver's side floorboard. In our vehicle now, underneath the dash on the driver's side, this is where the wiring is going to come through the firewall. From here, to get the wiring hooked up, what I'm gonna do is get our fascia back in place. That way we can get the wire through here and be able to get it wrapped up here. So I was able to get our fascia put back in place. Kind of see what I was talking about, how our bracketry and everything's set up. Kind of have to get the fascia back on, and at least in our case. But I went ahead and mounted the breakaway switch, and really straightforward. I just attached it to our bracket that I have connected to the bumper beam. Now, depending on your base plate and everything, it might be set up a little bit different, but the concept's the same. You just want this to be mounted up to a solid surface. You know, just use a nut and a bolt and secure it down. But what I have here, this is the wire that we ran down here, you know, that goes into the cab of our vehicle. And then this connector comes right off the back of the breakaway switch. All right, and you're just gonna simply plug those two in together. One thing I like to do once it's plugged in is come back with some electrical tape and just tape that connection point up real good. Help keep it protected, but I'll just push this wiring kind of back in, and I'll come in and grab a couple zip ties and just secure it up. Only thing left to do now is just kind of test fit the braking system, make sure it fits in here well, get it situated, things like that. So set it in the floor, then you want to take the power cord, make sure you plug it into the outlet here in the center console, because this one has power even when the vehicle is off. And then you can take the plug from your breakaway switch. That'll just get plugged right there in the breakaway. And what I did, the feet there, I brought them out maybe about a half an inch, something like that, on each side. That seemed to give us a pretty good straight shot. That way you can hook the pedal up. So with these, you know, they just simply clamp around the brake pedal. And it locks down like that. And then with this, you know, this part's adjustable. I got it almost all the way up, about 2/3 of the way up. Bring your seat all the way down and pretty close to the unit, usually about a half an inch or so. Works out pretty well. And now we're ready to try this out. So you want to hit power. You'll see the blue and green lights flashing. When you see this, you want to hit setup. It'll push the brake down, usually one time, sometimes a couple. And if it turns solid green, then it's good to go. You know, everything is situated and whatnot. If you see another color light up, you can refer to your instructions. Every now and again, it'll go red. And what I've come to find out is that usually you have too much pressure against the brake pedal. So usually the seat will be too close if that happens to you. So if it does, turn it off, turn it back on. But with that all done, that'll finish up our installation and our look at of the Blue Ox Patriot supplemental braking system on our 2018 Jeep Cherokee.